Welcome to MaineCare Interpreter Services Billing. Hi, my name is Jane Brand, Provider Relations Specialist with the Office of MaineCare Services. Thank you for attending today's session on interpreter billing services. During today's session, we will go over the process for requesting reimbursement from MaineCare for interpreter services billing using the Health Pass portal and the direct data entry processor. MaineCare providers may select an interpreter for members, parents, or guardians who need interpreter services. The resources below can help connect with the interpreter services that are currently available in Maine. These lists may not be comprehensive and do not indicate MaineCare's preferences for how providers choose an interpreter. Providers may use their discretion when hiring an interpreter. On the following pages of referrals for interpreters: 211 Maine, the Department of Education, or Language Assistance Line. MaineCare members' primary language must be one other than English. MaineCare will only provide reimbursement for the time interpreters provide the interpreter services to the member or guardian during the MaineCare covered appointment. Providers can submit a request for reimbursement on the same day of the interpreter services occurred. Providers must submit a copy of the invoice with the claim for interpreter services delivered via telehealth or by phone. Interpreters cannot provide interpreter services for their own family members, i.e., husbands, wives, fathers, mothers, children's, in-laws, or co-inhabitants. MaineCare will not reimburse for transportation time. MaineCare non-emergency or net brokers will not provide reimbursement for providers who transport their patients to their appointments. You can see the MaineCare Benefits Manual, Chapter 1, Section 1, Subsection 1.06-2 for more details about reimbursement. T1013 is the code you would use for sign language or oral interpretation services, which is a 15-minute code. Dental providers would use a CMS 1500 form versus their ADA form. This requires a valid diagnosis code, which would be an ICD-10 code Z01.21 or Z01.20. T1013 GT is interpreter services provided via the telephone and must be reported with copies of the invoice attached. Now that we have all of that information necessary to submit a claim via the Health Pass portal, let's go to www.mainecare.maine.gov. That will pull up the MaineCare portal. In the upper right-hand corner, you can sign in with your trading partner account. Once you sign in, go to Form Entry, Header, Level. Click on the View and Submit Claims icon. You will need to select that it's going to be a professional claim. Enter the member's search criteria. You will need two pieces of information, either the member's number and name or the member's birthday and name, or you can also search by the member number and the date of birth if you have that. Then you hit submit. If you at any time need to start over, you just hit reset. Then you get the screen will populate where you are going to start inputting your claim information. Anything that has a red asterisk needs to be filled in on the claim. There is a spyglass feature for any diagnosis codes or the codes that you're billing, but interpreter is just that one code, T1013, or modify a GT with it as well. So you will have a screen that comes up for your rendering provider and your referring provider. If you click on the hourglass or the little drop down button and choose your rendering provider, it will populate the name. You also need to um, choose a service location, and there is a drop down for that as well. It will ask you for a patient account number or medical record number. Those numbers are something that is assigned by the provider. So that would be a number, possibly what you have as their number in your records. For a provider lookup, you would also use your search button. The drop down gives you your providers. To see a complete list, you just do the drop down and click search. The results will display the provider's name, the ID, address, phone number, and their specialty and provider type. This is the information on your provider, and make sure you want to check the correct provider. So when you get to the diagnosis section, you will enter a diagnosis associated with the services that were provided to the member. Choose the correct ICD-9 or ICD-10 radio button, which corresponds to the code you will be entering. You do have to have one of those codes. If you don't, it will pop up a mark that red that you need to fill that in. And there is CMS guidelines for the ICD-10s as well. So if you're not sure of your diagnosis code, you can use the little spyglass to access all the diagnosis. All you need to do is enter part of the description of the code, or in the description field, part of the diagnosis is. Click on the search button and it will retrieve your list. The system will look for the text if you've entered that closest that falls within the description. If you need to start over, you can simply press reset. The diagnosis does return the description, effective dates, the term dates, and the ICD-10 version or 9 version. You want to make sure that you click on that link to make sure you have the correct one. Check the effective dates to make sure they're not expired. And again, you may start over if you just press the reset button. So then that brings you to your service line. And on your service line, you are going to put your dates of service to and from. It can be one date or it can be a series of dates a week or what have you. You got to have your place of service and your code. Your code is going to be the T1013. If you need the modifier, your related diagnosis, if it's only one, you put 1. If it's 2, you put 2 or 1 and 2. Your charge and how many units, remembering that the code is a 15-minute unit. So a half hour, of course, is 2 units. If you're not sure of the CPT code, you would search by the hourglass. And on this one, you can also reset. So if you're entering on the portal, this is what your service line would look like. So you have your T1013, you have your dates of service, you have your place of service, you have your related diagnosis, your charge, and your units. And you also need to make sure if you're billing T1013 that you have a service on that same day or it will deny. If you have coordination of benefits, that can be entered by the line level, or it can also be entered by the claim. Just make sure that your explanation of benefits and your information you're entering matches. If you choose, you can choose Medicare or you can choose TPL, which is a third-party vendor. If you choose Medicare and it happens to be a Med C policy, you need to make sure that you write on the top of the EOB that it's Medicare so it processes correctly if the member has Quimby only. So you would submit the claim at this point. If you submit and anything comes up red, that means that you need to adjust where it's red because it won't let you submit if you don't. And then you can, once you successfully have a submission of the claim, you can then view the claim. You will have a claim number, which is 5 numbers, a letter, either W or E, and 5 other numbers. Then you can check your claim. You can edit your claim here. And then at that point, it is ready to move on through the system to do the payments. Thank you for joining.